Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Live Market Analysis USA edition. My name is Carl Capolingua. I'm the market analyst over here at Think Markets, and it's a pleasure to be with you as we head stateside to try and find the best stocks to add to our portfolios. The format today is simple. It is your portfolio requests versus my technical and fundamental analysis. Let's see who wins in a battle of the best analysis I think you'll find anywhere on the internet. I'm a little bit biased, but hopefully you agree. Let us head quickly now to the charts. And that's not where I want to go. That's where I want to go. There's the charts. And I'm going to kick off with Carnival Corp from Daniel. And you can see their Agilent technology on screen. It's a bit of a bonus simply because it starts with A. It's the first one I clicked. Hey, Agilent, not looking so good right now, is it? So clear short-term downtrend, clear long-term downtrend, lower peaks, lower troughs, and almost convincingly there, black candles all over the place. A little bit of support there at 115. But that's not the subject of conversation here, but there's a bonus one thrown in. This one looks much better and great to contrast the last one with this one. It's always good to start with what we're not looking for because what we are looking for makes greater sense. That last one, the long-term trend ribbon, which is this ribbon here for the uninitiated, was just starting to turn down. And the short-term ribbon, which is this one here, was clearly down. Carnival Corporation, in contrast, we have a short-term uptrend. It's the green zone. It's a traffic light system with my trends. So we can see that when, well, green is, I wouldn't say good because some people would like to go short. So green is good for going long and dark pink or pink typically good for going short. And you can see how the trends change. Now this one, if I remember correctly, I was going to say it was going pretty well prior to COVID. In fact, it actually wasn't going that well prior to COVID. It surprised me. I remember it had a really good period through here. But in fact, falling prior to COVID. But we can see, and this is what I wanted to get to, is this idea that the long-term trend zone tends to support prices on the way up. And again, through that traffic light system, that's what I'm highlighting. When it changes, something's not right with that uptrend. And when we fail to get back above it, and in fact are restricted to the upside by it, you can see here and here and here. That is not a good thing. Okay, so we tend to go down. Obviously, it started to actually turn around. Coincidentally, how about that? Started to turn around here. And I tell you what, I would have told you to buy it on this day here. So this is an important part of my methodology. On that day here, if you put this to me in the webinar, I would have told you to buy it 100%. I would have typed on the screen, and I know there are a bunch of people who watch this X post on YouTube, and maybe for some new viewers who have got past that initial drop-off phase, because 50% drop out of anything they click on YouTube. That's a fact. If you're still here, you're about to drop out. You're about to leave this presentation. You're going to go, this guy's got no idea. He would have told me. Here he's admitting 100%. That he would have told me to buy on that day there, and look what happened next. What a terrible call that would have been. That would have been an absolute disaster for me. Okay, a couple of points here. Number one, I can't see the future, and I couldn't predict that a global pandemic was about to hit of the likes that we haven't seen in the modern era. So I didn't know that. And of course, Carnival Corporation, they do cruises. You've got a global pandemic, not so good for cruises. That's the first point. Can't see the future. Second point, all I ever tell you to do, especially for these turnaround plays, which I tell you are higher risk, is to dip that toe in the water. And the reason why we only dip a toe in the water on these turnaround plays is because we don't know necessarily with these turnaround plays what's lurking under the surface. We might be just jumping in just as the shark is opening its jaws. So that's why we only dip the toe in the water, especially on these ones. And if you did lose money, and no doubt you would have lost money on my call, 100%, you would have been cursing my name. That is a fact. Now, here's the other thing about my methodology, and this is why I have no fear about jumping into an ocean of infested with sharks. No fear at all on my part. Happy to add that, happy to do that on that day because I've got a methodology on how to get out. Now, if you don't have a methodology on how to get out, if you buy stuff, hold it and hope, right? Buy, hold, hope technique. Hoping it will go up with no idea how to get out if things go wrong, that's a problem for you. It's not a problem for me because I know exactly, and everybody who suffers through these sessions 3 times a week, they know that Carl 100% would have seen that candle and would have been out, probably would have got dusted here, unfortunately, or maybe with that shadow, might have held on for another day, might have held on for another day. Look, either way, he's out pretty quickly after that. Yes, would have 100% lost some money, but then would have gotten over that very quickly and would have kept it moving and not had any reason to buy Carnival Corp for a great deal of time. Look how this methodology works. Can't buy, no interest. No, don't care. Starting to get interested, a bit interested here. I don't know. I don't mind adding a third there. Not sure if that would have been the best trade on the day, given the upper shadow. I reckon I probably would have said, look, I'm just worried about that shadow. Let's wait for a pullback. Let's wait for another higher trough. I don't think we got it. So I think I would have been clear on that. This looks good here. This candle here, very happy with. Hey, you didn't ask me about it on that day. And then where's the next buy? Oh, look, you would have had a bit of time in the sun there. Eventually we would have got out. Now I want to get to today is where I want to get to. I'm trying to get to today's setup. There's lots of other setups there. You can see no interest. You can see how well the long-term trend defines. Long-term trend ribbon defines the trend. A little bit of interest here. Half decent there. A little bit of interest there. Again, failing through here, no good there, and we're back. Okay, so I think it's instructive. This has an extremely checkered path. This is an extremely high risk play. So who asked me about this? Daniel. Hopefully, Daniel, you've got some perspective on what you're potentially getting yourself into on Carnival. How many times has it tried to get above that long-term trend zone, thrown in a few candles, and then before too long, it just hasn't followed through. And here we are going for it again. The good news is this is the second time. We've built up a little bit of steam here. Okay, we've got some demand in the system coming back in. We've got supply belligerently continuing to sell. But if the demand is sufficient and we can get through the pesky supply at this level, it will go up. That's how markets work. You get rid of the supply, you got demand in the system, you've got to go up. Is this going to be the best one we're going to see today, Daniel? I don't think it will be. Could you add a speculative 1/3 on this? I'll frame that question and answer I'm about to give you within the context of everything we just saw on this stock. Okay, and I would say it's very close. And that deep breath and that deep sigh and that pause is only to do with one thing, and that's this here, this point of supply. And you can see where it is, and it's not that far away. So do you want to get in here, add risk here, knowing full well that you've got this point of supply not that far away? And I reckon we're going to find easier things. And the reason why I've drawn the top of the red box there, obviously, is that the clear point of supply. Then we've got a little peak here. So that's why I've made it that big. And when I make it that big, you start to see just how close we are. So I'm going to say interesting setup, interesting turnaround play. Short-term trend is up. Price action is up. Here we go through here. Boom, boom. Oh, a little bit sketchy through here, to be fair, but redeeming itself. Not bad. Again, some compression. Is it the perfect price action we like to see, Daniel? Is it this? Is it this? With clear separation between the last troughs and the second from last peaks? Are we seeing that clear separation through here on the current? No, I don't think we are. Okay, and probably the compression is coming because of the point of supply. I think we've done enough on this one. I like the analysis that we just did, because for me, in the first pass, I might have said, yeah, look, it's actually looking really interesting, plus 1/3. And now that I've actually done that extended analysis, I'm going, you know what? I reckon I'm going to find better stuff today. And that's all this is. It's just about going through this process. Hey, this looks much better. Same sort of company, obviously. It's another cruise liner, but we can see the clarity in the trends, the clarity in the candles, and the price action is better as well. But we are coming up to another area of supply here. This looks far better. The question then becomes, if you're set on buying cruise liners, because you've got this theory, Daniel, about, well, that's the industry to be in as everybody gets back out there and starts taking holidays. If you had to pick between the two, certainly Carnival looks quote unquote cheaper in terms of it's closer to the bottom, but I think Royal Caribbean looks more convincing in terms of how investors are viewing this one. So for Carnival, I'm not prepared to take that plus 1/3 risk, but for this one, actually everything else checks out so well. I really cannot say anything, but I have to say, look, everything checks out so well. I'm prepared to give this a go, even in advance of that supply zone. Look, it's up to you. We're going to get to the end of the session today, and you're going to go, hey, Carl had that 1/3, and there was no resistance overhead. Carl had that 1/3, and the resistance wasn't that far away. Look, my rules are, and then this is a rule which must be met. You do this in your own time. It's your own homework to determine whether we can make at least 1-to-1 based upon an entry there. Look, the closest stop I could do is just under there. And can we get at least 1-to-1? And let's be so generous and say even towards the top of that zone. Maybe you're just squeaking it in, okay? Let's keep moving. Max says, hi, Carl, good to see you. Good to have you here, Max. I can't see you, unfortunately, but good to have you here. Let's go to PBR. Now, coming up in today's session, obviously, I'm going to try and work through some of the requests we've got here, but I'm going to do an AI review. We'll do a bunch of AI stocks. And then I want to do a uranium review because on Twitter today, one of the big uranium bulls tweeted something that got my attention. The big white candles there, so we will be looking at that very shortly. Now I don't have anybody messaging me on the stream, and if you're watching this in the recording, which I'll try and get up later, it could be because, as Restream likes to do, which is what I used to stream, it periodically logs you out. And then I've just gone logged in with the existing credentials, and I don't think those credentials were the right ones to get me to the stream. So I think I needed to use the company account, the Think Markets account, and I can see here I'm logged in as myself. So I might not be streaming live, and apologies for that if you couldn't get in live. But it is 100% Restream's fault. I hate it. I hate the way they do that, and they're going to say it's in the interest of safety or security, but it has done me a disservice today. Okay, back to the charts. Petroleo Braslieiro, great name. I wonder what they do. I'm guessing something to do with petroleum in and around Brazil. That's my guess. I think it looks half decent. I think there's lots of good stuff going on. I think, we're back above the long-term trend zone, so that's good. It's acting as a demand zone. That's good. The short-term trend is turning up. The price action's compressed. We know why the price action is compressed, because we're dealing with a little bit of a supply zone through here. That's why the price action is compressing. So something we should totally expect. I don't know what happened on this day, but it scares the pants off me a little bit. Just looking at the candles and the gappiness and the way the candles are forming, I'm going to expect that this is a less liquid company than some of the other ones we might see today, and maybe that's a concern also. So I'm finding all the concerns to say that I think it looks very good. I'm not sure if I'm a plus 1/3 just yet. I think it still needs to deal with this point of supply. Is this going to be the best thing we're going to find today? I'm not so sure. If it was the only stock on the market, we had a whole universe of stocks that was one stock, then I think it looks quite good. I'm going to give it maybe a 6 out of 10. So it's a warm one. I don't know if it's a hot one. If this was the one you're obsessed with and you really had to buy it, I've got no reservations for you not to do that. I just don't think it's the one. I would buy it with my money right now. You can see my hand is literally on my heart as we're speaking. If you want me to write plus 1/3 on the screen, I think it's going to go up, but I don't think it's the one I'm looking to buy just yet. But certainly half decent, David. Okay, Perry. Perry usually gives me some bottom left, top right. So let's go MNDY. MNDY. Oh, okay, turnaround play. That's a little bit different from Perry. I think it looks really good. I can't see any reason, and I'm looking back when I say, when I look at the, you can't see where I'm pointing. This is not working. Okay, I can't point that way. Let me use the mouse. So I look at this, Perry. I look at that and I go, bang, 10 out of 10. I'm in. You got me. Okay. And then, my eye starts to go back here, right? And then the mouse goes up here, selects my box drawing tool, and that's when I start to go, okay, well, 10 out of 10, let me see where my supply is. And we're coming up to a little one here. There's also a round number there at 200. There's also going to be one up here, okay? But it's very good. Everything here is what I want to see. Look at the price action. It is clean. Look how clean this price action is. Compare it to the first 2 or 3 we've looked at today. So a Petroleo Braslieiro and Carnival. Royal was good, but not as good as this. This is clean price action. Look at the candles. They are amazing. White bodies, very limited supply side response throughout this run. And it's been a decent run. 110, 180. Normally, you should see a supply side response. We're not seeing it. We're just seeing demand. Where could the supply come in? And this is the only problem I have with it, Perry, is there. So I'll leave it up to you. I'm happy to write 1/3 on the screen. it meets my criteria. But this is where there's a bit of discretion, and you have to compare all the setups you see today and then find the ones with maybe the easiest run. You're going to find lots of 10 out of 10s on that stuff over there, all right? But then to look back, maybe there's some easier targets, okay? But happy to go plus 1/3 based upon what I can see, and obviously understanding that there's a bit of a POS lurking. Monday.com sounds pretty good. Looks pretty good to me. Sounds good too. OPRA, okay, amazing. It's had a great run. There's a bit of an upper shadow. It's a long way away from the light green zone. I'm going to say I think you'll get a better entry. I think you might get a couple of days of supply, a little bit of a pullback. So would I go out tonight and buy it on the open? No. I'm just going to wait for a bit of a pullback here. Hopefully you can see though, and again, I wish I could do these every day, and I wish I could have Perry suggestions every day, but hopefully you can see the way my methodology works. And again, my hand on my heart, your hand on your heart, you would agree that if you ask me on these days, these are the days, and particularly that day with the big white candle near the light green zone, when this is nicely established, they are the setups I love. Okay, now I can't go back in time. I won't write anything on the screen because I didn't call them on those days, but this is about teaching you the pictures to find. I'm not going to be there to hold your hand all the time. Okay, give a man a fish, teach a man a fish. I'm trying to teach you how to fish. So they are the pictures you need to look for. Okay, let's do the last one here. TZOO. Okay, this one I think looks really good. I'm just going to grab my box tool. You know where I'm going with this. I can see this here. Let me just scroll back and see what else is lurking there. There's a little bit there. Okay, it's a little bit diffuse. It's a little bit diffuse. Is it going to be a problem? It's a long time ago. So that's the supply that was in there. And this is the thing about points of supply. They don't last forever. And you might think that's contradictory. Some of the really big ones, they can be really important. So something like an all-time high. People don't forget that. But these ones you can see don't stand out as much. And if they don't stand out as much on the chart, there's a good chance they don't stand out as much in investors' memories. That makes sense, doesn't it? But this one up here stands out a lot. Everybody remembers that. If you've been trading this or holding it or suffering, and that's really what it's about with supply. If you've been suffering through this, you certainly remember the time you didn't get out at the top. But do you really remember the time you didn't get out at $11.04 or at $10.12? Probably not. If they're not significant on the chart, they're not significant investors' minds. So this is all about where people with ex-post regret. Were there a bunch of people getting in here? There are certainly a few, no doubt. And it's the people that got in here, right? The peeps that got in here, right? And yeah, these are the ones that regretted it. Yep, down here, okay? And they're going to spill out. Some will spill out here, some will spill out here, some will spill out here. Some got out here, hoping, thinking that, well, finally it's rallied a bit, and then some got out here in the despair that this thing will never go up again, and that was the absolute low. Some got out here, some got out here, a few got out there, a few got out there. Quite a few. I look at the volume. Quite a few got out through here. Okay, so this volume here is that transition between demand coming into the market, cash coming in, and getting rid of this dead weight that has been just holding this market down. So I don't want to sound like I'm trying to find an excuse to buy this, but I'm giving you some tools, I guess, in terms of the trading psychology to say, well, how much emphasis am I going to place on that? I think as good as this looks, you might just want to be a little bit cautious. There's $10 as well. It's tough. You've given me a crisis of confidence, Perry, because I love the chart. I loved OPRA, 10 out of 10s, but just that supply. And this is why, and again, and this actually should explain everything. This here should explain everything. Why the hell not? Why the hell not? What's the worst? Tell me, what's the worst that can happen? Now, I would suggest to you, the worst that could happen for this young lady here is far worse than anything that could happen to you here. Yes or no? Now, if you disagree with me, type something on your screen and say, hey, no, Carl. Yeah, me putting a bit of risk on this with an exit plan is going to cause me way more pain than getting my leg bitten off by a shark. Okay, and I don't think you can really honestly say that. Your worst case scenario is to lose a bit of money, but going into this with a plan on how to lose that money if it goes the wrong way. Hopefully that makes sense to you, Perry. Okay, let's have a look at, let's do this AI, then we'll get to Therese with Tesla, because I've made a list, and this is why I want to talk to you about it today. Oh, they're here. The streamers are here. Thank goodness. Ross and Josephine are both here and asking about uranium. Yes, I'm going to do that after I do this. The streamers are here. Thank goodness. So all those bad things I said about Restream, they weren't true. Okay, so I have my list here. You can see me scrolling down. My ASX thematics. We're not doing ASX stocks today. They're on Tuesday. My USA thematics. I've got a few here. Let's do AI. Okay, Accenture. These guys do help businesses adopt AI into their businesses. I think the chart looks very, very interesting. It's obviously got a little bit of a pop because everything got a pop. Here's the thing. AI is in play. Okay, we don't necessarily have to rush into everything, but we want to see what stays up, what holds up after that burst. The ones that keep coming down, they're not the ones that the market is really looking at. They're the ones that the punters, the chat rooms are playing. But the ones that hold up there, they're the ones that the fund managers continue to buy and withhold their supply on. So I think this looks really good. Is this the 10 out of 10 chart we're going to see today? No, but it is in AI, and it's one I think we can keep an eye on. If you have it, I would certainly say hold on to it. Now, this chart I thought looked really good last night. Adobe. And look, is this an AI stock? Not really. Does it have AI built into its products like Photoshop? And some of the stuff that Photoshop can do right now is pretty amazing. Yes, it does. So I wouldn't say this is an AI company per se, but it certainly is adopting the technology into its products. Bottom line is, I like the chart. I think it looks pretty good. I love the run up. I love the lack of supply side response. We're going to see a few of these charts where we have seen that supply side response, sort of delineating the pretenders from the real contenders. And I think this one looks good. I'd happily go 1/3 on that, again, within the context of everything we've discussed today about that big point of supply. That's not far away. Okay. AI see-through. This is the one we keep talking about. I know you asked me about it. Go check the tapes. I'm in here. I'm not supposed to be in. I'm not supposed to be drawing on this. These are supposed to be clean charts. Let me go. They're clean charts. Stop doing that, Carl. This is where I draw. Now I've got dirty charts all over the place. Plus 1/3 there. And I said, no, I didn't tell you to buy it there because I said you needed a big white candle. We never got it. You did ask me about it a few times and I never told you to buy it. And of course, look at that. It was one of the ones that did go up. I think this is probably more falling in the category of pretenders rather than contenders. This pullback here is substantial. But look, I think this whole point of supply, as long as it continues to act as a pod, it's probably okay. Let's see. Let's check this one in maybe next week also. And again, it's the big white candles you want to see. It's the lower shadows that you need to see to say that the demand is still here. It hasn't run away. It's not just a bunch of chat rooms that are causing the interest at this point in time. But there's something more meaningful there. And let me do that just so we can show you what we need to see. And or you may see also something with a lower shadow. But something like that I think would look very good. And, you know, if you're interested in this AI theme, then you could get involved. I think AMD's fine. They're having a pullback. They are indeed. But I think it's okay. I think this gap would be interesting to see how it performs in here. If we start to see some demand come in and around that gap, then again, I would happily hold it. And potentially looking actually to buy. I'd actually be looking for buys in here. So something like that with the candles I just showed you. Amazon, I think, looks fantastic. So this is what I definitely wanted to talk about today. You can see it is interacting with the supply zone. It is one we have actually put some buys out on the past. And based upon last night's candle, I really can see no reason not to. I know that's horrible grammar, double negatives everywhere, but I should say I can see a reason to plus 1/3 there. So I think we're dealing with that supply. And then there's not really much in there until maybe sort of 135-ish and then 145-ish. So that's a straight up buy for me. Arista Networks, I think, is fine. I think that's a limited supply side response, so happy there. I think another limited supply side response. So these guys do they make the machines. They make the machines that make the chips. All right. So if you think Nvidia is going to be gangbusters, if you think AMD is going to be gangbusters, if you think Intel might switch more to the GPUs, they're going to need ANSYS's machines. Keep an eye on that one. Could I buy it now? I actually could buy it now. I actually think based upon this candle here and the lack of supply side response, I actually could add some of that to a longer term portfolio. These guys do the memory, if I'm not mistaken. I might have got those two switched around, okay? But one of them does memory, one of them does machines. I think ANSYS does the machines, this one does the memory. Hey, somebody shout at me somewhere. There's many ways to shout at me, tell me if I'm wrong. Alibaba, maybe not. I know it popped a bit last night, not interested. BIDU, I think, is looking half interesting. And these are more using AI in your search engines and potentially building platforms that consumers, retailers can use. Cisco we're talking about infrastructure now. I think looks fine. Happy holder there. Salesforce dropped last night. Maybe it was some earnings, I don't know. But otherwise, I think that's fine. Big white candle, happy to hold. Would I buy it? Let me see one more big white candle or one more lower shadow to add that, because the trend is still fine. Epam Systems, can't remember what these guys do. But no, there's no interest there. Google's a hold. It's what we've talked about many, many times. Could I buy Google here if I didn't have it? Let me just wait for another solid white candle or even a close above that 127.05, and then it would be plus 1/3. So if I'm not around to do it, plus 1/3 equals greater than 127. Let's call it 50 just for safety there. IBM does have serious AI aspirations. I don't think it's a buy yet, but it's one we will watch closely. If it can best the long-term downtrend, then we will look at it. Intel is the laggard. They are miles behind Nvidia, and there's the chart. So if you go, oh, Nvidia's going up, better buy Intel, or Nvidia's gone up so much, better buy Intel, that is faulty logic. Nvidia's gone up, I better buy Nvidia, is better logic. Look at this. We talked about potentially adding a third round here, and it was only potentially because we needed the big black candle, which is actually hiding underneath the trend zone though. But if you don't believe me, that's the black candle. We never got it, and we don't have it now. So that's not a buy. This is interesting. This is one of the, they do literally vacuum cleaners. This is the vacuum cleaner with AI built into it. No, not interested in that one. Juniper, again, another infrastructure play, not showing the right stuff. Meta, we've been all over this in the past. Happy holder. Could I buy some more Meta? I think it looks amazing. I think this is the best. This is 10 out of 10 stuff. A little bit of supply possibly coming in from there. This gap, I can't remember what it was, but it is real. It was something to do with earnings, or I don't know. But it's not like it's a dirty data. So there will be a bunch of traders. Think about how many investors got in above here. Now that equals finally can get out at or near break even, right? That's pretty important. So that's an interesting level. I'm not sure if I'm adding here, and this might be famous last words, because if that's all I could see, it's 10 out of 10. But certainly a hold. Let's see what the candles look like in there. So I'm going to go hold on Meta. Marvel is one we looked at here, plus 1/3. Now you couldn't have got it because we looked at it on that day, and then overnight it popped. If you got in at the open, you're probably about break even. Yeah, I don't like the pullback. I don't like the supply side response. There was a supply side response here, and that concerns me. So stops, and I wouldn't go straight under there because I think the fund managers are probably smarter than that, and they will hunt for some stops here, but maybe say below 57. So minus 1/3, just for safety here. You know, toe in the water stuff didn't work out. That's fine. Get on with your life. But let's say less than. I'm going to go 56.87 exactly. Then minus 1/3. Microsoft is still a monster and a monster candle last night. Happy holder. Could you add 1/3? Look, I don't mind it, but understand we're not just ordinary point of supply here. We're all-time high point of supply. And it might be frustrating for some that just started to listen to me, but you can see where we started adding Microsoft down there. And there will be a time that will come in the bull market where we are hitting those all-time highs, and it will take not weeks, but could take months to deal with those. That's how important they are. But a happy holder there. Let's see how we go at the top. Micron, a bit of a supply side response. I still think it's fine. I think we did say 1/3 a couple of weeks ago. Happy holder there. I think this looks really good. Service now, continuing to hold up. Great bunch of candles. Nvidia, where it started. I think I think yesterday, I think we said minus 130 takes some profits on that day there. Because the candle wasn't 100%. Maybe that was a bit premature. I think after these two candles, you might have even got out of a third. And I think the most you'd be holding is a third, and it popped back up last night. And you're going to see where that goes. Would I buy in and add to it here? No, I just think it needs to show us some price action first. But happy holder on anything you might still have on Nvidia. Oracle, another infrastructure play, I think looks amazing, and that is actually taking out its all-time high. So I could happily buy that here. We have obviously been buying it in the past, but I'm just going to copy. That's what I love about this methodology. So this is the way you think about it. Stop thinking about the score in terms of price, and this is how you just this copy paste. I know there's real money that needs to go in behind it, but it's just making all your decisions based upon the chart. This one looks half interesting. It's kind of like that Carnival chart we looked at before, but maybe a little bit better in that we are not too far away. In fact, we're dealing with supply, and I think if we can get above that, well, there's probably some there. And I need to scoot through because I don't want to make this the whole focus, but it is popular at the moment. Palantir, I would say these guys fall into the category of serious AI contenders. These are not, they're not chip manufacturers, they're not B2B. These guys are doing their own sort of AI. It escapes me exactly what it is, and I should remember now what it is. But I think it's more of the. I can't remember. I'm not going to speculate. But I did look into these. You know my philosophy on these. I don't care about the chart. I think it's fine though. I think that's a happy holder there. Not yet on Sentinel One. More of a service provider, B2B, Supermicro. Geez, look at that. We looked at this before, and I couldn't find what I said on this day, but this is where you buy it, because on that arrow there's no supply side response. If you've still got it, happy to hold it, and that might surprise a few people because it's gone up so much. Hey, shouldn't I take profits? No. Look at the candles. They're amazing. Not yet on that one. I know this is a super popular company, Snowflake. Tesla is starting to look good again. How about that? Could I buy Tesla here? I don't think so. I think this is a problem, and let us check back, and it's going to be a week or two. That's the order of magnitude I think we're going to find before this could be called a buy. So not yet. Taiwan Semi, I think looks good. I like the pop through here. I think a fairly limited demand side response, and I think once you start to see the right candles popping in the light green zone, that's where I think you do want to buy this one. So keep an eye on that one. This is one I called a speculative buy on Friday, and I think if you've got it, hold it. I don't think it's terrible. I think it's better than terrible, I should say. And this is Verisign, and I think happy hold there. So that's if you've got other AI stocks, let me know. But they're the ones I've got on my watch list. We're not going to do this every week, but I just thought to introduce this concept of us as a community keeping tabs on them. Let me know. Okay. I did promise the uranium overview. This one here, I'm not so sure. And this is I haven't vetted this list yet. I got this off a bunch of uranium nuts on Twitter, and they are mental. Let me tell you, absolute true believers. So I need to vet these. But look, whatever that is, I think you can buy it. Notice it's a very gradual appreciation though. You can see here, but. Do your own research on that one. Cameco, I do know, is the largest listed uranium producer in the world. It's an obvious place to go if you're looking for uranium exposure. And the reason why this came to my attention today is because of this big white candle, this massive white candle, which was reflected in many, many uranium stocks, as we will see, but also that the spot uranium price continues to grind higher. And there is this possibility, and it is nothing more than a possibility, that it finally breaks out above 60 and excites, no doubt, our uranium bulls, who are some of which are listening. But this is the place I would go. Look, there's a bit of supply here. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this for the uranium bulls. I'm going to call this as I see it. So if you thought I was going to come on and tell you to buy these things, that's not how live market analysis works. You get my honest opinion. But I could happily hold this, and I could happily own some of this as well, because I think, if uranium does go, it's going to be here. This is the one you want to be in. This is where the quality is, and this is where the size is. These guys produce more than anybody else by a big distance. The only one that would come close, actually isn't on the list, is the Kazatomprom, and I hope I pronounced that correctly, but harder to trade that one because it's from where borat comes from. Okay, so happy with that one. This one here, again, you can see that the moves reflected. Not yet for me. Not yet for me. I know this is going to go very quick, and because I'm just looking for stuff that I might actually buy. Van Eck Uranium Nuclear Energy ETF. ETF is probably a good way to do it as well, rather than trying to pick the right one. Interesting move, not yet for me. This actually looks really interesting. Next Gen Energy. It's also listed here on the ASX. It's listed in Toronto, and this is the what we would call them, the ADRs trading. We'd call them CDIs, but in America they call them ADRs. That's half interesting, actually. I mean, out of the charts I've seen, that's a close second to Kamiko. Obviously, the long-term trend's not there yet, but the fact we've broken above the long-term trend with a massive white candle and a gap. Look at the gap there. The gap and run is super interesting. So I do like that one. That's a no on that one. Uranium, Unity Software, I'm guessing that's not it. I'm guessing I've got a bum steer on that one from the Twitterverse. That looks half interesting, but I can't buy it just yet. But if you've got it, it's a hold. This is the Global X Uranium ETF. Again, something's going on there. Look at the volume last night as well. Could I buy that? It would be the most speculative buy, and you would have to be the biggest of uranium nuts. Like, you would have to be totally mental, but it's a good way to do it, right? The ETF, you get a bit of everything, apart from the Kamiko one. No on that one. This is obviously a new one, but this is your junior miners. So high beta play. Super interesting candle. Last two candles super interesting. So technically broke down and then broke out. Maybe again, you have to be an absolute uranium nut to do that one. This is the Sprott Uranium Miners, another ETF, and look, I'll only do this just to ditto the other one, but don't do both ETFs. Uranium royalties. Look at these candles. Look at the volumes. Like, out of nowhere, something's up, uranium nuts. It might finally be your time. Not that one there. Okay, let me get back to your requests. My goal is to get everybody's requests done before the end of the day. We have done Tesla for you, Therese, but let's do your other one, which is American Express. And let's go here, AXP. Not yet for me. It looks like, do these guys have any uranium perhaps? Because it looks like a pretty similar chart. And you know why it's a not yet for me, because this is only just starting to come good. That is the short-term trend. Yes, we've got above that, but we're hardly, lighting the world on fire, are we? With, I think, a fair bit of supply in here. So there's quite a bit of work, I think, that needs to be done for me to upgrade this to a buy, something that resembles that. So coming into that point of supply, seeing a very limited supply side response, new abbreviation for us. Making sure that the demand side response is solid, and the manifestation of that solid demand side response would be your white candles or lower shadows, and then potentially in there, maybe you could buy it. But look, I don't think so. There's so many. We're going to find so many other better things, I think, than American Express to buy. So look, if you had it, I can hold it on the basis of everything we've talked about, but it's not a buy for me. Let's go to Barry, ticker AI, more than doubling. We did discuss, obviously, that's the C3. I wish I'd got you onto that one, but I didn't. It just whatever day we looked at it, that just was a black candle or an upper shadow, and I just couldn't put the 1/3 on that one. JAN, Janoni, not familiar with this one. I'm not sure if I'm a buyer on that one, Barry. I think there's since January. Okay. Well, he's saying more than doubled since January, not asking about this ticker. I'm going to keep moving. Max, CRM. We did discuss this one. I think it's fine. It's quarterly, so it's the news last night that got it. Their sales and sales. Of course, there is sales. Their quarterly profit numbers. Gap down badly after hours. Tried to come back with a daily candle. I think it's come back okay. Based upon that candle, I would hold it. I don't know what it's doing after hours right now, though. Okay. AMD had been riding Nvidia's coattails, had one banned candle. We did talk about that one, so I'll probably head off most of these. I'd actually be looking more for white candles here to confirm a hold or even maybe an add. So okay, with that one still max. Jill asking about Microsoft, which we did, I think, quite extensively. Google, which we also did quite extensively. And coincidentally, Amazon, which we've done, the stocks, let's check that out, still holding strong, happy with the stocks here. So this is your semiconductor ETFs. Another way to trade this artificial intelligence theme, and I think it's a really good way to trade it, because at the end of the day, you've got a whole sphere of companies and businesses looking to leverage the technology to build the software, but they need the hardware to do it, and that's where this one comes into it. So I think I'm a happy holder there, and I know there's going to be a little bit of a crisis of confidence for some people listening today, because you're in on some of these, I think, quite early. Now you're seeing some profit taking, and the question is, okay, well, do I take profits as well, or do I stay the course? I don't know the future, but the charts look more like stay the course rather than jump out just yet. Could be famous last words. URNM, coincidentally, Jill, you didn't know I was going to do that today, but we did that one. Okay, from Barry, question looking at resistance zones on a turnaround play, red boxes. How much does volume influence your zone? Volume from the past, not so much, but I can see where you're going from this. I mean, if you saw a huge turnover at a particular point of supply, it does increase the relevance of that point of supply because it signifies a transition, a changing of the guard. So, for example, we might not find it on here. Maybe we will. We should find stuff, but there's a good one there. And you can see this. So the huge volume here. So bunch of volume, bunch of selling, clearly, but also a bunch of buying. So this is an interesting question from Barry. So Barry's talking about, well, let's look at, say, this area here, right? And the significance of maybe this one is as a case study. So we're looking at this ETF, these ETFs all-time high. So this major point of supply. And the question is, if there's more volume here, does it increase the relevance of a point of supply? Because a lot of today's discussion has been about, well, 10 out of 10 setup, but we're coming up to supply. And it's a function of where we are in this current market, because we've had a bear market in 2022 and some stuff's trying to go back up in 2023. So it's so relevant right now. What Barry's saying is, well, look at this, look at the volume there. So remember, I've told you many times that volume, it by itself means nothing. Volume has to be paired with price action. If you look at the price action here, these solid black candles, as solid as you can get. So these are fund managers dumping semiconductor stocks, on the basis that either it's hit their stops, the trends change, their algorithm told them to, or they have a worldview that stuff's going to get a lot cheaper real quick. Turned out they were right. But semiconductor stocks up to that point had been doing really well, right? So you get this buy the dip mentality. And why would people buy the dip? Okay, well, don't remember you had a bunch of kids in their mum's basements. I know the old saying, right? Punting away their stimulus checks. And they had been taught all this time to buy the dip. And some of them started YouTube channels and got tens of thousands more followers than I will probably ever have in the space of 5 minutes, even though I've been doing this for 30 years, because they were so clever. So they were buying the dip here. So yes, we had selling. How do you know we had selling? Well, look at the black candles. How do you know you had a lot of selling? Well, look at the volume. How do you know a bunch of cash actually took on that risk? Well, look at the volume, because see, this is why volume is meaningless by itself, because volume is buying and selling. I've heard some really dumb stuff about technical analysis or from so-called technical analysts that say, oh, you want to see a stock going up on really strong and rising volume. That's crap. You want to see your stocks going up on low and falling volume. In fact, it's the opposite of what you're taught. And there's a reason why you don't get taught the good stuff. But volume, there's two sides. So we're seeing concerted selling, black candles. We're seeing a lot of money coming out, but we're seeing a lot of money coming in because it was taught to buy the dip. Okay. So I would say that high and anything around here does take on greater weight, Barry, because what it has done is it is trapped. And this is what resistance, see, I don't even call it resistance. This is what points of supply are all about. It's about how many people are trapped at a level. And I would suggest to you that there are more people trapped in here who down here, if they hadn't liquidated yet, are still waiting to get to break even. I could talk for hours about this stuff, but I won't, because we don't have hours. And this is supposed to be about looking at stocks primarily. and education maybe secondarily. I know that's not a word. I'd love to do this stuff, but I can only do this extended stuff for Think Markets clients. So if you are a client of Think Markets, I'm happy to investigate doing really targeted TA with you. And I can tell you my TA is better than any other TA you're going to get out there. And that is not me big noting myself, but I just know this is true. But you need to be a client. I'm not going to do it for anybody who just happens to jump in on a stream and isn't a client of Think Markets. Let us keep moving here. Let's go to MANH. If you don't believe me, tune out. Nobody's keeping you here. Let's go to here. If you're still here, it's because you probably think I'm onto something. I think it's a 10 out of 10. And what a great segue from, we just talked about an all-time high. And to get back to Barry's point, let's look at this all-time high. Look at this. This thing dumped off with not a huge amount of volume. Certainly we hit a level here. But actually the falling bit, not a lot of demand, I think got stuck in this one. And I haven't done any back testing on this, honestly, because the idea to back test it actually hasn't occurred to me until Barry brought up that point. But it would be interesting to go back and do some research on how effective or how much price was impeded based upon all-time highs and whether there was significant volume. I'm talking significant volume, X number of standard deviations from the mean, which I've done research on that in the past. Super interesting. That might suggest that this might not find as much supply here at its previous all-time high. I'm a happy holder on this, no doubt about it. But given the proximity to that all-time high, I'm probably just going to say a holder, not a buyer at this stage. But thanks, Paul, for that one. Definitely some food for thought in today's presentation. From Chris, we've done Oracle, tick. We've done Tesla, tick. The only one I haven't done of yours is Verisign VRSN, which looks okay. Not great. I don't know if I've covered, I think I have covered this because I've drawn that. Look, I've drawn that. Yep. And I might have, did I call it 1/3? I don't know, because it looked very good. And if I did call it a third, then I think just watch that level. And if you really, I think maybe give it a little bit more room. I think, you could easily even just go under here. Just watch that level. A close beneath that, I'll give you a number, 217.81. So let's call it close less than 116.87. For me, that would be minus 1/3. And the toe, therefore, has been lost on that one, Chris. From Haraju, how are we going for time? I'm going to have to speed this up because I'm due on Auspice in a few seconds. MVIS, amazing. Frustrations, because this is, like I said, each time we want a takeaway theme in this session so you learn something. And our takeaway theme this week is points of supply from the past. And as I said, it's a function of we are in a market that is recovering. Okay, this bit here, 10 out of 10, all right? Frustrations, 10 out of 10. This bit here is the question mark, okay? Interesting. CFLT. This looks really good. I actually don't mind this one. And it's red box day, isn't it? It's red box day. So we're getting pretty close to that. The next one's up here. We're through this one. We're through that red box with 3 white candles. It doesn't feel to me that the market is too concerned about what happened here. And it wasn't a massive volume turnaround here. In fact, there was so little through here. I haven't tested Barry's theory, but I wonder, and it's totally anecdotal at this stage, that there was very little demand trapped in. We're talking about how much demand is trapped in the stock. And I would say there's actually very little demand trapped in this stock. And therefore, and this is untested, so we will test this as we go through. Everything else checks out there, Chris. Not Chris. Who gave me this one? All right, you. Okay. Barry says, cheers for getting me to remove right-hand money scale. Well done on the charts and reducing the number of indicators that sharpened your eyes. Well done. Can I look at CrowdStrike CRWD? We had put a buy on this. Clearly some earnings there, but I don't think anything to worry about. Anonymous, happy holder because we ended up with demand. It was a pure demand side response. Yes, there was supply, right? There was supply in here, excess supply. How do you know? Because look where we opened. That's where we closed. We opened down here. But then look at the demand side response. Okay, that's fine. Happy holder there. Could I buy? Actually, could buy that. I actually think that's fine. Actually, even after that, I could add some. So plus 1/3. I think that answers your question. Okay, streamers, I know you've been very patient. Let me get through yours. Ross and Josephine. Uranium, we did all of those. Wonderful. From K. Don't know what your first name is, but just K. Car sales in Australia. Sorry, I can't do that, K. I do those on Tuesdays. I'd love to look at car sales for you on Tuesday. Come back on Tuesday and check in on it there. Oh, no, it's like car sales. Sorry. Carvana. I know exactly what this is. These are the... I thought, is this the one where you literally go and buy them out of the vertical booths? I think it looks really interesting. Obviously, there's a giant long-term downtrend. Look how wrong the market was on this one. 380 down to almost zero, coming back now. Bottom fishing. I don't mind it. I'm concerned again by the red boxes, which I've drawn all over my screen today. But if you can get past that, and this will need to get past that, then I don't mind it. I think it looks actually quite good. Here's the big changing of the guard. Again, there's your volume. So this is money coming back in, removing supply. There's still a bit of supply to be removed. Okay. So if you've got it, 100% hold it. I'm not sure if I'm a buyer yet. Let me see how it goes to that point of supply. I don't mind paying $22 instead of $15, because if it gets back to 100, who cares if I paid an extra $7? But I would care that I felt more certainty in applying the risk. It's very close. It's very close to me. I just can't fight that huge trend just yet. Nicola from about Tesla. I don't think it's turned around yet, Nicola, for all those reasons we did discuss. Let's go to WOW. This is who's Wow, and wow, we know. Okay, stop typing things in capitals, everybody, because I think they are ticker codes. Okay, Wow capitals, we capitals. We're not looking at this one. Okay, from Ross and Josephine, he's going to be happy tonight because I've said there's some hope. There's some hope for uranium. From Simon, hi Carl, what price would you turn bullish on PYPL? PayPal. Oh, yes, PayPal. Wowzers. Talk about fall from grace. Now, this is something we all use on a daily basis. I know I used it not that long ago. Now, let's, oh, wow. Well, no, I mean, obviously not, Simon. It's not, I mean, it's not even close. So let's just leave it at that. I mean, you know the stuff I need to see before I get excited about, but it's got so much work to do. What a big name in global finance, just in global anything. And yet the chart looks horrendous. I'm not a buyer on that for obvious reasons, you know why, but I don't think I'm even a hold at this stage. That looks pretty horrible. All right, that's Osby's pinging me there. BSL Kumar, I'm not sure if you're meaning, Blue Scope from Australia, but we're not looking at those. I'm guessing it's not that one. So that is it for me today. Thanks, obviously, so much for attending. I've got questions about Aussie stocks. Tune in on Tuesday, Kumar. That's when you ask them, and I'll happily answer them. If you like the macro stuff, indices, foreign exchange, commodities, and crypto, that you do it on Thursday. That's the link down there, www.thinkmarkets.com/au/webinars. Obviously, if you're not a Think client, and if you're not a client of Think Markets, you really should be. We are the good guys in the Australian broking scene. Everything you need to trade on Aussie shares, $8 flat rate plus CHESS sponsored. If you're trading CFDs or the US stocks, trade them commission free with us. Commission free US stocks trading without CFD offering. www.thinkmarkets.com/au. Why? Because we're an award-winning broker. We just got nominated for, Nick, what did we get nominated for? Best platform, I think. Best platform. I can't remember who it was, but it is one of those big sort of broker ratings agencies. And there's Osby's pinging me again. So better get on with it. Anyway, open an account, subscribe, or hit the thumbs up button to let me know you like what I'm doing. I'll do more of it. Apart from that, it's been a pleasure chatting with you today. Don't forget that everything we've talked about is general advice. Consider it carefully before you make a decision, or head to the website and download our PDS. Bye-bye.